Look, I don't know whether it's because I was raised in the bush, and probably it is, but I'm particularly keen on the Women in Media initiative, and this comes out of the Canberra branch of Women in Media, to establish what they were good enough to call the Caroline Jones Women in Media Young, Rural and Regional Journalists Award, an annual award which attracts entries from women in media working in any section of media from all around Australia. I'm so impressed with the entries because when you're working in the regions, you have to be particularly resourceful, I think. You might be the only person in a newsroom in a region. You will certainly be the only person in some of the more remote areas. You will probably be doing your own videotaping of stories, and you will be travelling probably long distances and probably on your own. I remember Emily Jane Smith, who was the winner in the second year of the award, and she was based in northwest Western Australia, and some of her reporting might take her to remote communities, which could be a 9-hour drive from Broome on your own. And when you get there, say you're going to a fairly remote Aboriginal community. So she'd be driving out there 9 hours on the road. The road's not always too good. When you get there, you're probably pitching your tent and camping there for a few days while you meet people and talk with them and interview them and uncover some of the stories about poor housing or unsafe conditions for giving birth. You know, and you've got your own equipment. You have to have everything. You can't just be saying to the cameraman, because there isn't one, you know, we'll film this and then we'll film that. No, you're doing it all yourself. Another one, Courtney Fowler, you know, she's in the West, and the distance, the area she covers, I can't quite remember, but it's something like the same number of square miles as Tasmania, I think. It's just huge. And I really admire them so much. I think that it's so good to highlight the work that they're doing, because it's such a different experience. And some of the women who go to the regions to at least for a few years, if not forever, and sometimes they get converted. You know, they might have grown up in the city, gone to university in the city, then they decide to have a stint in the country. Some of them stay there because they can see how worthwhile it is and how great a contribution they can make by being a voice of the regions, being a voice of the bush. But for some of them, it'll only be the experience of a few years. But I think you learn so much, you know, and I think you can really do a lot of good reporting from the bush and highlighting the things that, you know, many of us take for granted in the city. And there are lots of hard things about living in the regions that are important. So I think that to be a reporter in the bush on a paper, or those that have not been closed down, or in a newsroom, or working for the ABC, or whatever it is that you're doing something really worthwhile. And I'm glad that Women in Media has been in a position to highlight that work, to give it a platform and to give it a reward. We get each year up to about 60 applications. They come from all over the country. The young journalists have to have had, I think, one good year of experience working in the media, and they submit 3 of what they consider to be their best reports, together with a submission about their journalism, their aims in journalism and so on. And I'm one of 4 judges. So the others are Ginger Gorman, who has extensive experience as a freelancer, Catherine Murphy, political editor of the Guardian newspaper, and Emma McDonald, who is editor of the Her Canberra magazine and has had extensive experience in the press gallery. When the entries come in and when we have finally chosen a winner, her prize is to have a week in Canberra, being mentored by a number of senior women in the course of that week. So she'll spend some time in the press gallery, maybe at the Canberra Times, with the brilliant photographer, Carleen Minnie. So what a week of experience that is. There's also a small cash prize of $2,500 which they are going to spend on something to assist their professional life. That might be they want a new camera set up, because a lot of them are doing, they're doing their own video, their own photographs, their own everything. So that could be part of it, or they might spend it on, one of them actually spent some money on going to the United States at the time when we were allowed out of the country a couple of years ago, and gaining experience over there. So there's that component of it. And as well, during that week in Canberra, she will attend a National Press Club lunch, and she will have the privilege of asking the first question. No pressure. It's a great prize and a great week. I write back to all of the applicants with a letter of interest in their application, and I hope with some encouragement. And that can lead in many cases to me starting an online relationship with some of those young journalists. So it has kind of expanded my mentoring capacity, and I'm very delighted about that. So it's one of the several, I think, very, very worthwhile initiatives of women in media. And I'm so pleased that we have it. Just to run through them, the winner in the first year was Eliza Getzi, who was at that time working on the newspaper in Bundaberg in Queensland. She is now reporting in Alice Springs. Second year, Emily Jane Smith, who's now working on Dateline at SBS. The third year was a freelancer, a very impressive woman, Virginia Tapscott, who many of you will have followed, I think, with her articles in the Australian newspaper about her own experience of sexual abuse as a child. And she was brave enough to share something of that in order to expose it and to offer support to others who may have gone through that. The current winner is Ellie Bradfield. She has done some marvellous work, particularly on the challenge for women in the bush giving birth to their children. There are many obstacles to that being a happy and safe experience, and she's done some very important work on that. So, look, it's a great source of satisfaction and joy to me that award happens.